And if they obviously have the right person to guide them, I mean, he lost his virginity in 3 weeks. In fact, I had a guy in my DMs a while back telling me, yeah, I'm in South Florida, I'm in Miami, and I want to meet attractive women, but I think at this point, in order to get myself at least a 7 or an 8, I got to make $100,000 a year. And I think a lot of guys, they don't do that, or they think that the girl's out of their league. They think a girl needs money. They think a girl needs a guy who's 6'5", who makes 6-7 figures, right? Who has to have the Lambo.
6 foot 6 inches.
Literally, it's the 666 thing, right? 6 foot, 6 figures, 6 inches. In America, in Europe, who say, I'm tired of entitled women. I'm tired of the gold diggers. I'm tired of women who are offering sexual services in exchange for money. Then yeah, it's going to go way better for you. But I would say 9 out of 10 guys, they don't make women feel anything, whether it's through dating apps, through cold approach, the social circle. And that's why a lot of guys don't get that text back.
Like, you feel like a loser. You're focused on mindset first. So if you were trying to grift, you would say, hey, go get some money, go get your body. It's going to work out for you.
They set themselves up for failure. They automatically assume she's out of my league. She's going to say no to me. She's not going to give me the number. What if I fuck up? What if I run out of things to say?
I think the biggest misconception that men think money or their physique are going to solve their problems, and they don't have to do any self-work. And the men are starting to think like this: why would I go to the gym to get abs when I could just get liposuction and have my abs show? Men need to understand the merit of hard work again, and that's character building. And the reality is if you don't have the skills to compete, you're going to lose.
So, here with AI Dating Guy, here in beautiful Medellin, man.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me and hosting me.
Of course, man. The least I could do for my business partner, my best friend,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What are we going to be talking about today, man? What's on the agenda?
So what we'll be talking about today is, how to help guys get the relationship and the ideal goals that they want to reach in relationships in the shortest amount of time possible. Because I think the big thing for a lot of guys and what they're experiencing is that in relationships, they can be a little draining on time. A lot of guys are kind of focused on their purpose, or maybe they don't have any purpose and they're searching for it, but they want companionship along that journey. So our goal, I would say, is to help guys navigate that dichotomy in a palatable way. Yeah,
absolutely. So give us a little bit of your background. Like, what exactly are you bringing to the table? How exactly are you helping the guys out? And what do you specialize in, man?
So I'm an AI dating guy. Daniel, that's my name. I help guys get more dates, ideally in 90 days or less. We specialize in creating AI workflows for busy schedules, because a lot of guys complain about, again, not having enough time to do things,
right?
Because maybe they have a lot going on in their life. Maybe they're building their foundation. Maybe they already have a foundation, but they haven't quite yet learned the gaps in their schedule where they can meet their relationship goals. So what we do is we audit it with AI. We use AI workflows to help men get those ideal outcomes, which would be maybe a wife, maybe a girlfriend, maybe multiple girlfriends, maybe multiple wives. It's whatever you want to do. So it's individually tailored for whatever guy we work with.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Well, hopefully we can give some value to the guys out here, and for everyone who's watching, just help them out and really get the ideal relationships that they ultimately want in their lives, right?
Excellent. Speaking of which, let's talk about you, Mr. Sam Speaks, RSVPS in the building.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So I'm Sam Speaks. I've been doing the dating and lifestyle coaching for about 4 years now. Essentially just helping guys really maximize their life with their masculinity, being unapologetic into getting what they want out of the dating market. And I help them with the something I came up with called the RSVPS method, which again is really a way to maximize your masculinity, being bold and unapologetically, essentially just being you as a man, right? And I help guys really just, again, attract, date, and retain the high quality baddies that they see in their day-to-day life, on Instagram, on their dating apps, or even in their social circle. And I think at the end of the day, it's something that people really need to focus on if they want to have those relationships. Because the way I see it, dating is a 3-part process, right? You have your cold approach, you have your online presence, and you have your social circle. And I think a lot of guys, they typically only focus on 1, 2 of those things, and they're leaving a lot of opportunities on the table. So I really want to help the guys maximize their life. And that's why I do one-on-one coaching. And also we have the private community, the Winner Circle as well.
I'm glad we talked about baddies. I heard baddies in that statement.
Yes,
so I think, when a lot of guys hear about Colombia, they're thinking of the baddies. So I think one of the questions that a guy would ask would say, hey, Sam, if I come to Colombia, if I come to Colombia, is there a possibility that I can meet those high quality baddies that I'm attracted to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there is an abundance of high quality women here in Colombia, but I think a lot of guys, they go about it the wrong way. And I think ever since I've been here, because I've been living here for almost 5 years now, and things have dramatically changed over the years. And when I first got here, I think I would get a lot of guys telling me, oh, you don't need to get advice. You don't need to get coaching. Just be yourself, go out there.
Right.
And I think maybe like 5 years ago or so, that was somewhat of the truth. But I think as time has gone on, a lot of passport bros, the sex tourists have come into the country.
Sure.
And they are essentially leading with their wallet. And because they're leading with their wallet so much and asking the girls, hey, how much? What do they charge? Which is ridiculous. I know you're laughing, but this is the reality of the way things are going now. And I think because so many men are leading with their wallet, it's essentially telling the women that, okay, if foreign men are going to be coming here and offering me money and leading with their wallet, well, I'm a girl who earns about $300 a month on average. So yeah, I want to get a nice iPhone. Yeah, I want to have some nice clothes. Yeah, I want to get taken out to cool restaurants and rooftops. Right. And so they're going to be accepting these advances and these offers all the time, which is then going to essentially ruin the dating pool and give women an entitled mindset similar to what the guys are experiencing back in the West. And I think a big thing that a lot of guys are running away from sometimes too, because I hear this a lot, right? I hear a lot of guys in America, in Europe, who say, I'm tired of entitled women. I'm tired of the gold diggers. I'm tired of women who are offering sexual services in exchange for money. And so they come to places like Colombia, maybe like the Philippines, maybe like Eastern Europe, right? And they want to get away from those problems and find more traditional values and roles. But the problem is, because they don't work on their game, because they don't work on their charisma, because they don't develop themselves as men, essentially they're creating the same problems that they're trying to run away from. And to me, it doesn't make any sense. And so when a lot of guys come here, they're running into the problem that a lot of these women are asking them for money. And so because of that, well, I think a lot of guys think that it's quite hard to date and attract and hook up with attractive women unless they offer them money. And so my belief is this: if you do work on yourself, you understand the game, you start to understand the culture, the language, you start to develop yourself, you can absolutely maximize here. But you are going to have to run maybe a higher lead flow, have maybe doing more boots on the ground approaches, doing actual cold approaches, right? Going to places maybe outside of the tourist zones and just truly understanding the game. And that's what I help guys with. I help them maximize their time while they are here, but also around the world as well. Just so that way we don't keep creating the same problems that everyone keeps complaining about. So that's kind of my philosophy on it.
No, man, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think you touched on a lot.
That's true.
You touched on a lot, and I think there's a lot to unpack there. So I would say, as far as you touched on people not creating problems all over, kind of avoiding creating further gold digger issues or the same kind of cultural things that we don't necessarily care for in the West, and not spreading that overseas. So we could talk about your method, the RSVPS method.
Sure.
Right. So how does that method work in the sense of not creating those issues? Because you're talking about people traveling, we don't want to deal with certain things. So you're teaching a methodology that's going to essentially help them get those women, but not only are you getting the women, you're also not creating issues when dealing with them. I'm sure your method maybe plays a big role in that. Maybe you could explain a little bit further and elaborate on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that the RSVPS method is designed and was created essentially is to combat a lot of the over-validation that women receive nowadays. A lot of women automatically have this rejection filter up. They have a bitch wall or a bitch shield up. And I think a lot of guys, they even feel like they might be doing this jester maxing thing, trying to get through to women, but they feel like they're wasting their time. And so I developed this method in order to combat this. What I realized was women are emotional creatures. They're feminine, they're emotional. And in order to really make an impact with them, you have to make them feel something, anything, right? Obviously, if you make them, turned on and they feel excited and there's sexual tension, then yeah, it's going to go way better for you. But I would say 9 out of 10 guys, they don't make women feel anything, whether it's through dating apps, through cold approach, the social circle. And that's why a lot of guys don't get that text back. Or when they go on a first date, they get that, oh, I just didn't feel that spark.
Sure.
And so the RSVPS method, what it does is it helps guys cut through all the bullshit and essentially reach a woman's true feminine core. And how do we do this? Well, I help them develop their masculinity. I help them essentially get in touch with their masculinity, be unapologetic, let go of any shame that they have around that, and own who they are as a man by owning who they are, what they say, and what they do. And with the RSVPS method, they're able to cut through all the bullshit, make the woman actually feel something in the first 30 or 60 seconds in an interaction, to where she's now chasing you, to where now she sees you as the prize, to where she wants to connect with you. She wants your validation. She wants to know who you are and potentially get to know you more, date you, go out with you, and see where things can go, instead of you chasing her.
I think that's a big thing. I think a lot of men are a little bit too eager, I would say, to do anything a woman tells them to do, essentially. Because I think the big thing you're touching on is presenting yourself well, cutting through with your masculinity into the woman, like just kind of breaking her off autopilot, essentially.
Yes, exactly.
Because the thing is, they're running a program, or maybe they're even dealing with a lot of people, and they're on autopilot. And I think what your method would probably do is kind of cut through that autopilot thing and make them give you a genuine response, whether that was a positive response or a negative response, but at least you're not getting a neutral response.
Yes. And I think that's where a lot of guys get stuck in, is maybe playing it too safe sometimes, or they kind of just push the envelope. Hey, you're cute. Hey, I think you're interesting. And like, yeah, you're kind of making things man to woman, but at the end of the day, if you're still playing it safe and she kind of gives you like a pity number or something, you might sit there and be texting her back and forth for days, weeks on end, and never getting anything out of it. So I think it is better to cut to the chase and go for, hey, are we going to build some real sexual attraction here to where she's actually genuinely interested? Or am I going to get rejected? And that way I can just make a split-second decision. Okay, it's either a hell yeah or a hell no, instead of sitting in that limbo space that I think a lot of guys end up in eventually, right? Or inevitably.
So this leads to my next question. What separates the men who naturally attract women from the men who get ignored?
Yeah. So I think once you start to develop yourself as a man, you start to build your charisma, and you really start to internalize a lot of the lessons that I do teach, right? Which is being secure in yourself, making sure that you're not pedestalizing women, making sure that you're not seeking validation, making sure that you're at least putting yourself out there, that you feel good in your own shoes, right? The problem is when guys don't do these things, they unfortunately do get overlooked. They do get ignored. They don't succeed properly with women because they haven't naturally internalized who they are as a man, their internal values, their own offer essentially in the dating market. And a lot of guys just don't succeed. I think the guys who constantly get ignored, they're either just not working on themselves, they're not putting in the work, or they just haven't internalized their own value to the point that they are confident enough to know that they deserve the kind of women that they're going after.
Sure.
And I think a lot of guys, they don't do that, or they think that the girl is out of their league. They think a girl needs money. They think a girl needs a guy who's 6'5", who makes 6-7 figures, right? Who has to have the Lambo.
6 foot 6 inches.
Literally, it's the 6'6" thing, right? 6 foot, 6 figures, 6 inches. But I think, look, these things definitely help in today's dating market, but it's not everything. And I think at the end of the day, I've met guys who are 5'6". I've met guys who are broke as fuck. I've met guys who are out of shape. Sure. In fact, looking back as to when we used to go out, I mean, you weren't in the best shape.
Here he goes.
But this is just the reality that I think a lot of guys can really relate to, right?
Yep.
I think they can really relate to guys who don't have it all. And when we were on the come up and we were learning our game, because we've been in the game for about like 10 years now, learning technical game, going out, developing ourselves. But back in the day, even when you weren't on point, and I was broke as fuck, we were still pulling girls left and right nonstop. I mean, I think there was a weekend or a time period where we pulled, what was it, 8 or 9 weekends in a fucking row? I mean, dude, guys would look at us and be like, oh, it's because you're this, because you're that. Look, we were broke. He was out of shape. It's like, and we're still fucking winning out here. So you really have to ask yourself, is it really all of these external factors? Or is it because that we internalized the lessons and we had the confidence and we knew our own value that was able to outshine all of the superficial things that honestly women don't even really care about? I think they care about these things to an extent, and that's what social media tells them that they should care about. But at the end of the day, I've preached this a lot. Women are going to be women around the world, and they're going to respond to the same attraction triggers no matter where you are. And I think the biggest thing that they always are going to respond to is a man secure in his own masculinity.
100%. And I believe that this is like a journey of self-discovery. And I think what you're doing is opening up a lot of opportunity for men to discover what makes them exceptional. So that way they can compete in the market. And we are in a market, you know, like there are going to be men that are high stock. There are going to be women that are high stock. There's also going to be men that are low stock and women that are low stock. Sure, nobody here wants to date a 500-pound woman with no job and no family ties at all. So
and 6 kids from 4 different baby daddies.
And no girl wants to date a broke, out of shape dude who at least doesn't have a personality. There's like no offer there. So, you know, I think that's a big thing. So I think this kind of segues into what I wanted to ask you, because you talked a lot about coaching. You talked a lot about your methodology and like maybe your views on masculinity a bit. So what would you say, what are the things that dating coaches are teaching now that is completely wrong? What would you say?
Yeah. So I see this a lot, especially on TikTok and other social media platforms. I think a lot of guys, what they're doing nowadays because of the meta classes, it's easy to showcase a display of confidence, which I think is a great thing at the end of the day. And I think it's good that these guys are going out and they are showcasing that, yeah, you can approach an attractive girl at the supermarket, at the mall, at the gym, right? And I think that's good because it does inspire and give guys hope that they can pull up on their crush, that they can go for what they want. But I think the biggest problem with these guys is their knowledge is quite limited and they only focus on the approach. And I'm saying this from experience because I've had clients of mine who have talked to other guys in the space who maybe have tons of more followers and clout or whatever you want to call it. But their methodologies, they tell guys, hey, just go out and approach. Hey, go spam approaches. Go tell all the girls, hey, excuse me, where'd you get that? Oh, what? That beautiful smile. And I see these guys doing this over and over and over again. And look, there's nothing wrong with building the confidence and going for what you want. But the problem is that's only one very small part of the game. And I think a lot of guys, if they're coming from a place where they don't know what they're doing and they're completely green, yeah, it's going to help them go from level 0 to maybe level 1 or 2.
You're right.
But if you want to really understand the game, if you really want to build yourself up, if you want to master this skill set, you need to put in the work and you need to have a much more deeper understanding of the dynamics that men and women have, the frames that come involved, how to turn a woman on, how to escalate properly, how to not get me too'd, how to not be seen as a creep. And I think there's a lot of things that a lot of guys don't hit on. And that's unfortunately where a lot of guys are in the market. They see guys like us and they think, oh, he's a grifter. Oh, he's this and that. But when they actually see my clients and how they're transforming and how they're building themselves up in all areas of life, how they're internalizing the confidence, how they're able to maximize their social media presence, how they're able to maximize their social circles, how they're able to meet women everywhere they go in the world, it's not just a, excuse me, where'd you get that beautiful smile? Look, you can spam pickup lines all day, but what's actually going to get you results? It's really, again, using something like an RSVPS method to truly connect with the woman, to make her feel something, and to know how to properly escalate, how to properly build that connection. And then also what to text the girl, how to communicate with her, how to get her on the date, how to run the date, how to actually pull your place, how to optimize your logistics. There's a lot of things that come involved in the dating process that I think a lot of guys overlook or they just don't teach because either they don't want to teach it, they don't have the experience, or they're trying to make a quick buck. And honestly, it does piss me off that people in this space like us, dating coaches and lifestyle coaches,
Sure.
get this bad rep because we're over here trying to change lives. We're over here trying to maximize men's lives and really make them become great men. And so to put us in the same, category as these TikTok meta glass POV guys, it fucking grinds my gears, man. So that's all I can say on that.
I think you touched on a big thing, which is I think social media has kind of created a veneer of success. And the truth is right in front of our eyes in the information age, but it's also clouded because there are so many people that may have the answers. And also there are many people with voices that might not have the answers.
Right.
And both voices are loud. So it really becomes a thing where maybe people feel like they have to experiment because they're seeing different things. They're trying different things. And it's really a challenge because I would say for the guys, it's like a place of exploration. It's like, hey, like I tried this guy's method. He completely grifted me. Or am I going to stop investing in myself now?
Yeah.
Or am I going to keep searching until I find the gem? Because the information is out here. I have a feeling like I can optimize my life in a way where I can succeed. Mm-hmm. But there's so many people that say they have the answers. But then when I invest, I think I'm making an investment in myself. They don't. Yeah. So I think this leads into what I'm going to ask you, which is, why do you feel like so many men are struggling with women today, modernly?
Yeah, I think it's things have changed, man, especially from the olden days, like from where our parents came from. I think back when you could just look good, go out, hit up the club and talk to a girl, I think things were a lot simpler back then. There wasn't social media. The dating market wasn't globalized just yet.
Sure.
And I think women's standards were actually not as high as they are nowadays. And so I think a lot of guys are struggling now because women have such high expectations and standards.
Sure.
Because of social media, dating apps, over validation that they're receiving all the time.
Sure.
And also too, because we've kind of talked about this the other day, but essentially there are people who are in high status position making a lot of money who are offering just average girls the world, where they hit up girls in their Instagram DMs and say, yo, you look good. You got a fat ass, whatever. You want to fly out to Miami. You want to fly out over here. I'll buy you a Birkin. I'll throw you 10 G's. I'll do all this nonsense. And these women now say like, wow, I can just post a couple of provocative pictures online and I can get famous NBA players, rappers, NFL players to fly me out, and I get pumped and dumped. I get a bag, literally a Birkin bag and a bag, right? They get 10 G's or whatever, and they fly back home. They brag to all their friends. And now all their friends want to partake in the same kind of ideology and the same kind of game, essentially. And so I think a lot of guys, they see this and they see how these women are so entitled and demanding, and they think, well, I can't compete with Drake. I can't compete with NBA, whatever, right? And so what they do is they think, oh, if I want to get a baddie, I got to make at least 6 figures. In fact, I had a guy in my DMs a while back telling me, yeah, I'm in South Florida, I'm in Miami, and I want to meet attractive women. But, I think at this point, in order to get myself at least a 7 or an 8, I got to make $100,000 a year. And I said to him, my guy, who put you down this path? I don't want to name any names because, he's a pretty popular creator. But I think a lot of guys do have that misconception that you have to make money and you have to lead with your wallet in order to get women nowadays. And I understand there are some pros to that. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get women who genuinely love you for you. And so you have to really just sit there and ask yourself, do you just want the validation from the attractive women, or do you actually want to build something and actually have a life, a connection, a family, a wife, and all these other things that are much more fulfilling than just the short-term dopamine and validation?
These guys who always talk about money and all this different stuff, Sam's already spilled the beans that we're friends. I remember when we were sitting on Sam's floor in his apartment, there was no furniture. There was no furniture in the apartment. We had girls coming over. There was a TV on the ground. His bed wasn't even set up yet. I think his bed was on the ground. He didn't even have a freaking bed frame. We had girls. We pulled the girls. They're coming to the crib. We have a Wii set up. Was it a Wii? I don't know. Like the Switch.
My Switch. Yeah.
I'm dating myself, a Wii. But, a Switch. And we're playing Smash Bros. The girls are crisscross applesauce on the ground. And there's video. So maybe Sam will post a short one day of that video. If you think I'm BSing, we had no furniture. There's girls sitting down playing Smash Bros. With us after a night out. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate what you're saying, because I think it's self-talk, right? And you're a coach, so I'm sure the RSVPS and your coaching goes into mindset too, because the thing is if you have the mindset, oh, I can't compete with Drake, you're already telling yourself you're going to lose.
Facts.
Why would you tell yourself you're going to lose like that? That doesn't even make any sense. At least try, see the response that you get, and then sit down and reflect on that, and then create a plan of action that's going to help you reach your goal.
100%.
But what I wanted to ask you too, and I think this segues again, is, what's the biggest client transformation you've seen a client go through?
It's a great question. So I think the biggest one and one of the most memorable ones is, I'm not going to say his name just because you might want to stay anonymous.
Sure.
But I had a client in Las Vegas. Now, this was a guy he's a very cool guy, very genuine, social, positive guy. But he was at the time, I believe, 33 or 34. And he had actually taken a 7-day boot camp with another coach. He had spent about $15,000 to fly out and to, learn how to get women, how to, become more confident, right? And at the time, he was a virgin. So imagine this, 33, 34-year-old guy, professional. He had basically all the tools that he needed in his life.
Sure.
But he had never gone on a date. He never had a kiss. He never gotten laid, right? And he obviously wanted to get out of his comfort zone and pursue the things that I think every man would want to an extent, right?
Sure.
And so he spent this money. He went on this boot camp with another coach, and he didn't get any results from it. He was the one guy out of the entire boot camp who had no results. So we got in contact, we started connecting, and he went through my program. And what I loved about this guy was he was so driven to get what he wanted in life. He wasn't making excuses. He essentially had a goal, and he said, I'm going to go after what I want, and nothing's going to stop me. And I admire that. And I respect that so much in a man who's able to be so determined and have that grit and able to push through any obstacles, right?
Sure.
And so we did that. And so we got in the program. We started working together. I helped him with his mindset. I started helping him develop his inner confidence and rediscover the value that he had in himself. And I think by week 3 in the program, he went out on the Las Vegas trip. He went out with a friend of his that he had. He approached 2 different girls. So there was like a 2-on-2 kind of thing.
Sure.
He approached 2 girls. They pulled to like a restaurant. He ended up flirting with the girl. He ended up being so confident that he was able to escalate on the spot. They started kissing in public right there.
Nice.
He ended up pulling the girl the same night, and he got laid, and the girl didn't even know that he was a virgin.
Ooh, okay.
So
anything's possible, huh?
Yeah. And so when I saw that, and he did a bunch of other things too. Like he ended up getting like LASIK surgery. He ended up spending like $1,000 on his wardrobe, just completely revamping himself. He got a new apartment that was closer to the action so he could go out and meet girls more often, right?
Sure, sure.
And so when I saw all of these things in place, it really showed me that, look, if someone really wants it bad enough, that they're going to put in the work, they're not going to make excuses, and they're going to get what they want in life. And if they obviously have the right person to guide them, I mean, he lost his virginity in 3 weeks. And something that he spent $15,000 on another coach, and he got no results. So for me, when I saw that, I think that was one of my biggest transformations that I saw with my clients. And I was very proud to see that he's able to overcome something that has plagued him and stopped him his entire life. He was 33 years old, 34 years old.
Sure.
And he's over here losing his virginity, feeling much more confident, much more at ease with himself, and just completely transforming into the 2.0 version of himself. So it was really cool to see that.
That's amazing, man. And I think that's a testament to you. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And, the most important thing is to not live in your future, not to live in your past, but to live in the present. And you can only control that. So if you're present in the moment, you could be 40, you could be 50, you could be 50 listening to this and be like, oh man, I haven't done enough. So start doing it today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get in the gym today. Talk to the girl today. Apply for a job today. Start a business today. It's never going to be the perfect time for you to do anything.
Right.
So
they always say it's just like the best time to start anything was yesterday, but the next best time is today.
I like that. Yeah, that's dope, man. That's dope. So let's talk about the Winner Circle a little bit.
Sure.
So why did you decide to start the Winner Circle as opposed to just posting content online?
Yeah. So what I've realized as the years have kind of gone on and I've developed myself and I've gotten better with my game and just increasing my offer as we kind of talk about, right? What I've noticed is as you kind of ascend the mountain of greatness and you become better as a person, as a human being, it becomes quite difficult to relate to average people, the guys who don't want to win, the guys who don't want to work on themselves. And as they say, it does get lonely at the top.
Sure.
And so what I noticed as I've kind of been ascending the mountain and making more money and developing myself and all these other things,
sure,
it did get a little bit lonely. I was like, man, it's kind of hard to, where's my tribe at, right? Where it's kind of hard to find other ambitious guys, other men who are also on this same journey. Sure. And so what I realized, I was like, you know what? Instead of just posting my content and just like putting out these videos and whatnot, why don't I make a space for other guys to find like a tribe together, find like a network and kind of grow together? And I always say this, go to the mountaintop together.
Sure.
And so I made this community where we do like weekly calls every single week. I help the guys stay accountable. And it's not just for dating too. I help them with all of the main things that the guys want to focus on, right? Sure. Which is their health, their wealth, and their relationships. And again, the great thing is now they have a place that they can come to every single week. They can see how other guys are progressing, see what kind of projects the guys are working on, see what kind of, are they making money over here? Are they working on investments over here? What are they doing in the gym over here? What kind of girls are dating over here? Are they traveling? And I think it's really just a great place for guys, again, to connect and grow together and do things to where they're not alone. They're not isolated in this vacuum all by themselves trying to figure it out. Sure. But now they have other guys and peers that they can grow with together and ascend and be great men. So
I think that's amazing, man. In that community is very important. And I think a lot of people feel isolated. It's funny how we have the internet, we're all interconnected more than ever, but people feel more isolated. So
that's true.
Definitely feel like community is important, and to be around a community of winners and to be around a community that would support you in your endeavors. And not to go on too much of a tangent, but I really have the viewpoint that when you're doing things that normal society would shun, you're actually aligning yourself with the greats. Because the thing is if you're doing something exceptional, that means you have to be the exception.
That's true. So
if you're doing something exceptional, why wouldn't a normal person say, hey, don't do that. You should do this. You should do that. Because that's going to go against their normal life. So they're saying, I'm going to give you normal advice because you're abnormal, and I'm going to assume that you want to be like me.
Yeah.
And it's like, as somebody achieving great goals, pursuing different things, actually optimizing your life like a literal video game, and you realize, hey, I can do whatever I want. It can be lonely at first. Yeah. So it's like you want to be around other people that decided to break out and say, hey, I'm going to make the biggest gamble on myself. I think I'm always worth an investment.
Yes.
Because many people are going to be the assistant manager in their own lives, and they're always looking for approval. They're always seeking advice and not from the correct sources, because you really should be seeking advice from people that understand the challenges that you're going through and understand that, hey, you're trying to do something different and you're trying to do what's best for you. Yeah. So
you got to find the right role models, and you want to look at the people who have what you want and are potentially teaching other guys to have what you want as well.
Excellent, man. So what kind of men do you feel like get the best results from your coaching?
The guys who get the best results from my coaching are going to be the guys who, kind of what I mentioned with my other client, right? The guys who really don't make any excuses. The ambitious guys who are going to go after their goals and who put that above anything else. Maybe they might be a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe they might get yelled at. Maybe they might need to have some tough love in their life. But if they're willing to put their ego aside and they're willing to have their growth mindset first, to be a student and to learn and be a sponge and to grow, again, just without making excuses, those are the guys who really see the best out of my coaching, because it's not for everyone, right? Some guys, they can't handle the heat sometimes. Sometimes they can't handle the tough love. And sometimes they need that wake-up call that nobody else is going to tell them. But because no one else is telling them that, it might be a shock to them. And some guys, they can't handle it. And that's okay, right? This is not for everyone. Being a great man and getting the highest quality women in life and making the kind of money that people only dream of, getting the Lambo, traveling around the world, it's not for everyone. But that's what I help, is I want to help the guys who want it for themselves. The guys who want to go to the mountaintop and they want to have it all in life. Those are the guys who are going to see the best results. If you don't make excuses, you go after your goals relentlessly, and you just want to fucking win, man.
All right, I'm going to eat some Cheetos after this and play Fortnite. I think this is what I'm going to do. Like, I'm really motivated, and I'm just going to be number one in Battle Royale now.
Bro. Do it, man. Look, all the props to you, but don't complain when your life sucks,
Bro, dude, I could get a girl in the Fortnite lobby that's going to be dancing, and I could just go behind her and hit the little emote.
Yeah, why not? Turns out she's actually a 42-year-old, 300-pound man living in Arkansas,
No, but next question, man. So if I'm an ambitious guy and I had 30 days to transform my dating life, where should I start?
So what I usually do with the guys who join my program is we always start with the mindset first. And I know there's some other coaches out there who might throw a guy into the deep end. All right, go out and approach 50 girls for the next, 2 weeks, and then we'll review and see how you did. I think at that point, when a guy's first starting out like that and he doesn't have much experience, he's not even able to do one approach. He's going to be shaking in his boots and be like, well, what do I say? How do I do it? Am I going to be seen as a creep? Am I going to get rejected? What if I get rejected? What if she calls the cops on me? What if I'm in jail? Which I think a lot of guys go through that and they get stuck in that. So what I help them do, the first thing we always tackle is the mindset. I help guys rediscover their value as a man. Because look, as men, we accomplish great things in life. We have a lot of accolades, a lot of achievements, and things that people compliment us on. However, it's not something that happens regularly. Let's say we graduate from school. Everyone says, congratulations, good job. And then now it's, okay, get the job and you move on. And you forget all about the hard work and how good you felt in that moment when you achieved something great. Sure. And so what I help the guys do is remember how great they are as men, what they've accomplished, the kind of attention they've got from women, the compliments they receive. Again, it's very easy as a man to just move forward and forget about these things. And so I really help guys rediscover their value and build up their confidence from a real place and not from delusion, but to get essentially a rock solid foundation to then build off of. Because if you in your mind believe that you deserve the high quality women that you want, if you think you are a catch, if you truly believe that you have the best offer on the market, that a girl, if she met you, cannot find anyone better than you, then you're going to start to really make some waves. You're really going to start to have women notice you for the man that you truly are. Sure. And so I always start with mindset first, and then we start to figure out, okay, let's see what kind of girls you want. Let's get very specific. Are they blonde girls that are tall with a fat ass? Cool. Let's focus on those kind of girls. Okay. Are they aligned with you and your personality? Do they have the things that you want in a girl? Sure. And I help them really start. So we start with the mindset. Then we start to figure out what kind of girls they want, get crystal clear on that. Sure. And then we break down the different archetypes. And then we focus on, okay, how do we find those girls? Then what are the tactics we can use? Sure. Then what kind of game can we apply to the different types of girls that you like and the different personalities? So then now you can optimize your game and get the best results. Sure. And that's where we really start with the guys. I don't want them going doing cold approach right away because, again, they might get discouraged and they might, go back to their old ways and regress. So I think mindset's very important, and that's going to be the first thing that guys should focus on if they want to start to change their lives.
Excellent. Excellent. I would say so, because even you were talking earlier, you made your point about Drake, I can't compete with him, this, that, and the third. I think that's why the mindset thing is very important, right? Because if you don't believe you're going to win, you're already losing. You can't feel like you're not going to win. That doesn't make any sense, because 100%. You should play a game that you feel like you're going to win. And I think it's really the choice. The choice is really taking ownership, right? Mm-hmm. Really taking accountability and saying that, hey, and you can interject, you can tell me how you feel about this, but not to go on too far of a tangent, but I just feel that it's very important to conquer yourself, because so many guys are going out here trying to get women. That's essentially what you're helping them with as a dating coach. Right. But it's like, hey man, master yourself. Yes. Tell yourself the proper things. Give yourself the mindset of a winner. Put yourself in the position mentally to win. And that way you're actually going to be able to win. Because I think, even touching on the point about what dating coaches are preaching, get your money, get your this, who are you though? Yeah. Because if you feel like you feel like a loser, imagine getting money and getting, my question to you is just not to, again, go too far off, but I just really like that point you made, because you talked about grifters and all these different things. Right. You're focused on mindset first. So if you were trying to grift, you would say, hey, go get some money, go get your body. It's going to work out for you. And then when it doesn't work out for you, you're going to be like, oh man, this is a lie. And then you're going to proceed to go into other activities and adopting a loser mindset. Instead, if you had a winner mindset, yes, and then you got the money and then you're working on your physique or whatever you're doing, it's enhancing who you already are, because all the six pack and the money would do is enhance you being a loser. If you had a loser mindset, it's going to elevate your loser mentality. But then if you had a winner mindset and then you worked on yourself and went through that process, then you're just maximizing. And it's about compounding, I feel like. And that's what you would be doing, helping them with mindset, because it's about compounding. Hey, remember when you did this? Remember first grade when you won the wheelbarrow race? So I think that's dope, man. So my question to you, right, is what's the biggest mistake men make when approaching or talking to women in your view?
I think one of the biggest mistakes that men make is, again, it's the mindset. It's the negative mindset that they always start with. I think a lot of guys, when they see an attractive girl in their day-to-day life, they automatically assume she's out of my league. She's going to say no to me. She's not going to give me the number. What if I fuck up? What if I run out of things to say? I don't even know what to say. What if everyone around me is staring at me? What if people judge me? What if this girl that I'm pedestalizing, what if she rejects me? Now this person that I'm putting all this stock into, all this validation that I'm hoping that she validates me back, what if she tells me I'm not good enough? And I think a lot of guys, they set themselves up for failure. Instead of thinking of all the negative what ifs all the time, what if you think of the positive what ifs? What if she likes you? What if you're exactly her type? What if she responds in a positive way? What if you get the number? What if you go on a date with her? What if you end up hooking up with her? What if she ends up being your girlfriend? What if she ends up being your wife? What if she ends up being the future mother of your children? And these are all the things that I think a lot of guys don't think of, and they think in that moment of all the negatives. And so I think that's the biggest thing is like, don't set yourself up for failure. Think of the positive what ifs and go in with that confidence, essentially assuming attraction. And this is an old term that we used to, maybe heard of in the old PUA days. Always assume attraction. Always assume that the girl likes you. Always assume that the girl is hoping that you validate her and not you get the validation in return, right?
Yeah, 100%. I like, it's almost like you're at a church. What if this? What if that? I was like a little sermon. It's like, damn, I will put something in the offering plate now.
Sometimes you just gotta look at it like that. It's just like, look, man.
Hope maxing.
Yeah, hope maxing. Look, instead of cope maxing, fucking hope max, man. Like, what if you could have the life of your dreams? What if you really could be that guy? Have you ever thought about that? What would that feel like? What would that feel like to be in the shoes of the man of your dreams that you envision yourself to be? And you had everything you want. You're driving the Lambo down Miami. You're on the fucking yacht. You got the baddie at your side. What would that feel like? That's what you want to tap into, man.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. So how does a man's life change once he's more confident with women? Like, how exactly does his life change?
Yeah, I think once a man becomes truly confident in himself, I think a man just doesn't seek so much validation. Because if you're at a point in your life where you're not 100% confident with yourself, you're not 100% confident with women, you're going to kind of be in this place of, oh, maybe this girl's going to validate me, maybe she would like me, and that you would think that would fulfill you. But at the end of the day, we're already full and whole as we are as people. We don't need validation to complete us. And so when a man is truly secure in himself and his identity, I think life just becomes effortless, man, because you get to walk around knowing that you're a fucking G. You get to walk around knowing that, yeah, women are checking me out. Yeah, women want to be with me. Oh, I got girls texting me over here. It just becomes an effortless thing. And once you can finally stop putting women above yourself and chasing all this validation, then you can focus on the things that truly matter in your life, which is going to be your friends and your family, your purpose and your passions, and then you and God if you're a religious guy. And so I think it just gives space to truly pursue the things that actually matter in life. Again, I'm not saying women don't matter. They're still on the priority list, but they're always going to be last on the priority list. So once you kind of overcome that and you kind of get over that hump and you become confident in yourself, then everything else opens up in life and you can pursue the things that actually matter.
That's interesting you say that, because I just wanted to think before I spoke, because I think it's very interesting what you said, because it almost seems like we're, quote unquote, maybe someone would point out like, hey, like there's a hypocrisy here, because you're saying at one point you're a dating coach and you're trying to help me get women, but then you're also saying that women are not important and that I shouldn't even focus on them. And it's like almost like these are two conflicting ideas. And think about it, we're dealing with hyper logical men, most likely, like men that are seeing things in sequences. And maybe they're going to hear that point. And this is just me not trying to create any rifting or anything, but I think that's just a quick point for you to explore, because it's like, hey, you said I'm going to go out and do this activity to get women, but then also they're not important. And I should have pedestalized them. Can you just please maybe just elaborate in a little bit and just say, hey, like what exactly, because it's an art and a science, right? And we're speaking on the science aspect, like here and here. Can you explain that art a little bit? Because I think maybe they would like that. And I think this would tie into the mission statement as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I think for a lot of guys, if it's the same concept if you don't have money. If you're a broke person and you want to buy nice things for yourself, you want to go to nice restaurants, you want to travel, right? Envisioning having money is going to be your number one priority because you want to get out of your situation. And it's very similar to dating. If you're a guy who has not experienced a lot of, high quality women in your life, if you haven't hooked up with a lot of girls, if you haven't gone on a lot of dates, if you haven't seen a lot of essentially validation from you putting in the work, sure, then your number one priority is going to be getting girls, is going to be getting a girlfriend, is going to be getting laid, is going to be meeting those girls.
Sure.
But I think once you get to that point and you experience enough of the validation to the point where it kind of satisfies that maybe lower paradigm of where you were at, that mindset, then you start to realize, wait, there is more to life. There is more than just the girls. There is more than just the money, right? And then we get to start to focus on the things that actually matter in life. So I think if you're at a stage in your life where you've never had a girlfriend, you haven't gotten laid, or maybe you've only had like a couple low quality experiences, then yeah, there's nothing wrong to focus on getting women into your life and becoming more attractive. But just understand that once you get to that certain point and you get enough experience, that there are a lot, like the ocean is quite vast. And so the first is getting your feet wet. Right. Get wet, get in the pool, learn how to swim a little bit, and then learn how to dive, learn how to explore what's truly out there. And I think where I was going with this is I think it's like there's a lot of guys who just focus on these things. And I know nowadays a lot of guys are even saying like it's not even worth approaching women. It's not even worth going after them. But again, you have to ask yourself, it's just like, do you want to be a hermit? Do you want to be a black pill guy and a MGTOW person and just shy off of women completely? Because it's very easy to run away from this situation that we're in.
Sure.
And I know it can be painful. I know it can be stressful. It can be nerve-wracking sometimes.
Sure.
But you just have to ask yourself, do you actually want it bad enough? And if you do want it bad enough, well, then there are some things that you're going to have to go through in order to get to the place where you are content with your life. And that way you can open up and become more confident and have the life that you want. Look, we've said this, last couple of days, everything in life that you want that is difficult, it's there's going to be value on it. Because if it was easy, then it wouldn't be valuable and it wouldn't be worth going after.
100%.
And so you just got to ask yourself, is the goal of having women in your life, having abundance with women, having a girlfriend, having a wife, multiple wives, whatever you want to have, is that goal worth it to you? And if it is worth it to you, and as I've said before, their women should still be on the priority list, then you should go after them. But again, just don't put them above everything else that you have going on in life.
Sure. Because
that's when people kind of get lost. That's when you get kind of lost in the sauce. Maybe you get caught up in the weeds, taking selfies for the girls, posting pictures for them, buying the Rolex to flex on the girls.
Right.
And you got to realize it's like, a lot of those things are just going to attract men because they're going to be like, hey, nice physique, bro. Hey, nice watch, bro. Hey, nice car, bro. The girls might like it to an extent, but they're not going to be truly attracted to you for you because of these things, right?
So great point. Love it. Love it. So my question to you, what's the mission behind everything you do online?
Yeah, man. So the mission is obviously to help guys maximize their life when it comes to dating and their relationships. But the true mission is really just to help guys live a life that they're happy living, to live a life that they're fulfilled with. Because at the end of the day, look, women are the priority. They are a priority, but they're not the priority. Mm-hmm. I think the main thing that men should ultimately focus on is building a life that they're happy living, that they can wake up every day, that they feel blessed and grateful for, that they can go out and do the things they want, and have a sense of freedom to where they enjoy the things that they do.
Sure.
And obviously a woman is going to add to that. A good woman is going to be an asset and going to add to that experience.
Sure.
But just having a girlfriend is probably not going to complete you and say, okay, I beat the game and that's it, life's over. No, like you want to have everything, right? You want to have a lifestyle, again, that you have a sense of freedom, that you can travel, that you have money to buy the things that you want, whether it's food, the house that you want to live in, right? The experiences that you want to have, and have the people in your life that's also support you. And so that's my true goal, is just to help men live a life that they're happy living. And I think with the Winner's Circle and with my coaching, it does kind of lead them towards that path and help them see the truth that, look, women is one part of it. It's one aspect of life. but it's not everything. And I think that you out there who's watching, you can achieve the life that me and AI Dating Guy have, or even beyond if that's what you want. So just believe in yourself, believe that you can go for the mountaintop, or as they say a lot of times, aim for the sky, or what is it? Aim for the stars, land on the moon. You can have it too, my G.
Hey, beautiful, man. I love it. I love it. Hey. Yeah.
Now, what about you, man? So in your view, AI Dating Guy, why are so many men just giving up on dating and self-improvement nowadays?
Because they want an easy and logical fix. So I believe you touched on it earlier, where men think money or their physique are going to solve their problems and they don't have to do any self-work. So if I could go to, it's like a girl, right? If I could go to Dr. Miami and get a butt, why would I go to the gym for like 6 months to a year to get a physique when I could just buy the physique?
That's true.
Same thing with the man. And the men are starting to think like this. Why would I go to the gym to get abs when I could just get liposuction and have my abs show? Why would I talk to a woman when I could just go to Colombia, or I could go to Brazil and just buy an escort, or I could just get money to afford escorts in Miami, Las Vegas, or wherever I'm at? It comes down to people not wanting to work and not believing in hard work and not believing in, hey, I can get something. I can get something for nothing, essentially.
I agree.
So if you have that mentality where I can get something for nothing, then you're going to always look for an easy way out. And there's a difference between, hey, I'm lazy and I want the most optimal way to reach my goal, as opposed to, I don't want to put in any work, so I'm going to take GLP-1s to lose weight, or I'm going to, get a liposuction or all this different stuff. It's like men need to understand the merit of hard work again. And that's character building. And a lot of people don't want to build their character. They want to just be a created player. And that's not the way to be.
That's true. And that actually leads into the next question, man. Like, do you think that modern dating is just pay to play nowadays? Or is it just a weak excuse?
Modern dating is pay to play. Absolutely not. If you're a sucker, it's pay to play. Because the thing is, if you're looking for actual companionship, if you're looking for actual love and respect, you don't get that. You can't pay for respect. There's a difference between a soldier that's loyal to their country and a mercenary that you hire to fight in your war. The mercenary is there for a check. If he knows that he's going to die in a certain scenario and it's not optimal toward his goal, he leaves. But a soldier that believes in his country and goes behind his flag is willing to die because there are values and culture behind it. And he feels that he's fighting for something greater than something tangible. So that's what a lot of these pay for play guys want it to be, in the sense of, hey, I can buy respect. I can buy a woman. Everything can be bought. Everything has a price. And the thing with loyalty, love, and respect and relationships, they do not have a price. They are priceless. You can't put a price on a human life. You can't put a price on things that cannot be measured. So I believe that if guys keep this in mind and understand that there are some things that are immeasurable, like your respect, your dignity, and things that you have, like you are priceless. If you believe you are priceless, you can value and appreciate the pricelessness of others. And then you can actually evaluate the worth of others based on how they carry themselves, based on how they present themselves. You have to actually live in abundance. And you're not truly living in abundance if you're in the pay for play mentality, because you're stuck in a tangible realm. And I believe you're not conceiving things greater than where you are.
No, 100%, man. It's really sad to see a lot of these guys out here who think they have to even lead with their wallet just to get some kind of, validation from hot girls in life.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me, it's just like, it just feels like if they're running away from their problems, they don't want to put in the work, like you said. It just seems like they're just weak men creating this weird toxic dating environment. So do you think that weak men are the problem in today's toxic dating market, or?
Weak men are the problem in today's toxic dating market? Absolutely, because men are the leaders. So I could point out the problems that women have, but it's only reflective of the men that lead the society and the men that are the head of their households. They're not strong. They are not putting forth the leadership that is needed to carry a better tomorrow for their wives and for their children and for their grandchildren, their future. If men were not so weak, and the saying, it's like strong men create good times, and I can't remember how the phrasing goes.
No, you said it right.
Yes, it says strong men. So was it
strong men create good times, and good times create weak men?
Yes, that's the statement. I couldn't recall it, but it's really that. So that's why I would put the blame on the weak men. I'm putting it on men because as men, I feel like we can really take personal accountability. I'm not saying that women are incapable of personal accountability, but if we are seeing ourselves as men, as protectors, as people that provide, protect, and keep society safe when we are controlled and are focused and aware of things, then I'm not going to put any of the blame on the women. I'm going to put it on myself first because I know that I can implement the change.
Yeah.
So the weak men, honestly, get them out of here.
100%.
Get them out of here, and and we will create better times. And 100%, I would blame weak men for that.
So how do you set strict boundaries as a man without coming across as insecure?
Stop worrying about it, because you're sitting here saying like, oh, how do I not come across insecure? How about just not being insecure? Because it sounds like the stupidest thing on earth. Like, you're not thinking like a leader. You're not thinking like a true boss of yourself, because you're worried about what other people think. You're worried about how other people will perceive you. It's like, you should be only concerned with the opinions of people that love and value and respect you. If this person is a complete random stranger, why do you care what they think? It doesn't matter if they think you're insecure. If I'm talking to a random woman and I say, hey, by the way, I don't go out past 10 o'clock. She say, hey, what are you, a loser? Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't care what you think. I know I'm not a loser. You could think I'm a loser because I want to go to bed at 10 p.m.
Sure.
But maybe I'm working on something and I see the value in me going to bed at 10 p.m. So what does it matter that you think that I'm a loser for going to bed at 10 p.m.? It's completely irrelevant.
Thanks.
So I think men, again, mindset, it's like, I don't give a damn. I only care about the people that offer value to my life, that have been there for me. And we're talking about, you took winner circle. We're building a circle of people that genuinely care about one another and say, hey, I want to see you win. If you're not on the winning team, you're on the losing side. I really don't care what you have to think. And that's going to be the case with most people. So as far as with insecurities, it's owning yourself. Some people are not going to like what you do, and that's perfectly fine. Some people's favorite color is red. Some people's favorite color is black. It doesn't matter, in my view.
No, facts. I love what you're saying about owning who you are. And that's what I kind of talk about, like in the winner circle too, is owning who you are, what you say, and what you do is the principles of being a man.
Sure.
So why are men running away from the dating competition instead of leveling up?
Men are running away from the dating competition because it's hard.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult. They want an easy solution. They want a logical solution. They want to say, hey, if I do this, then it's going to transform me tomorrow. It's kind of even what I touched on earlier, where it's like, I want GLP-1s to lose weight. I want to get liposuction. I'm the girl and I want to get a surgery in order to get a big butt instead of going to the gym and working on it and earning it.
Facts.
A lot of men are running away from these things and running away from the competition because they realize it's a competition. And the reality is if you don't have the skills to compete, you're going to lose. And like I said earlier, we are in the weak times.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people that don't understand that, hey, if you want it, you got to go get it. You're competing with everybody now. It's on full display. The truth is out there for you to see. There's a Lamborghini out there. That people are flying private. That people own jets. That people are even giving you the information in order for you to be able to compete and earn it too. And that's a harsh reality for a lot of people, because back in olden times, you would have to search for information and you would have to maybe go to a library. Maybe you're talking to somebody. Maybe you move to a new city and you say, oh, wow, there's possibilities out here. Like instead of me being in my small hodunk town, not to say anything about small towns, love small towns, but I'm just saying, like, earlier.
Shout out to the small towns.
Right. Shout out to the small towns. But like, if you were from Iowa back in 1920, like in order for you to see something and understand the possibilities, maybe you would have to go to a bigger city in order for you to understand, like, oh, wait, like there's like sanitation systems, there's this, there's that. Like, you would have to see it to believe it. Right. Now that you have the internet, you can see everything. You can see that Japan is there. You can see like Thailand. You can see Africa. You can see you can see all these different continents and countries in full effect. You can see people living in these countries. You can see what life can be. It's like, it's not a secret anymore. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are just saying like, oh man, like maybe like they're doing one of two things. They're, for bowing out of competition, they're either looking at the screen and saying, hey, I'm just going to live through this guy who's a winner. Yeah. And like, I see what it is. And like, cause hey, like, I don't think I can do it. So they just say, hey, I don't think I can do it, but I love to see people doing it. But then I really believe you have this other subsect of people that want to be delusional. They want to be handed an opportunity. So they see things that are there and they're like, they want someone just to come up to them and say, hey man, you're pretty cool. How about I just take you under an internship with me and you fly around private and I pay you like $2 million a year and you get as much vacation time as you want. Like that's what you're going to get. And it's like, dude, that doesn't exist. The only way that would exist is if you're a woman and you get married to a rich guy.
Yeah.
or you're a child and you were just in a destitute area and you just pulled up on a millionaire and said, hey, I want to be like you when I grow up. And baby's like, you know what, dude, get in the car. I'm going to adopt you.
No, did he?
yeah, I'm going to adopt you, right? Or he's going to say, hey, like, you know what, kid, here's my card. Get a phone, call me. You're going to intern at my company. Only women and children get handouts. If you're a man, you're never getting a handout. And because they're never getting a handout, they just bow out the race because they know no one's going to save them. And these weak men want somebody to save them.
That's true. It's true. They want to do everything but take accountability for their own lives, man.
Sure.
Now that kind of segues into what you were saying, like people kind of running away and not really like trying to focus on leveling up, right? So are passport bros seeking traditional values, or are they just running away from failure?
I think a minority of them want traditional values, but I think a lot of them are running away from failure because the thing is, so let's touch on the positive, the ones that are seeking traditional values. Men, you know, you can be born into a society and it's not your home. Sometimes you have to find your place on earth. And I truly believe in that. Yeah. So I do believe that there are men that maybe you're born in Thailand, but your heart is in Australia. Maybe you're born in the US and your heart is in Japan.
Sure.
Maybe, you know, you're born in the US and your heart is in Colombia. You know, there are a lot of people that are like that. And the world is big. So just because you don't fit in somewhere doesn't mean that you don't have a place here. My grandfather used to say that everything is necessary. And because everything is necessary, there is a place for everybody. Some people might be born in the correct environment and they're born just in the perfect place. They're born in the place where they're supposed to be. But those are few and far between because sometimes you have to go on a journey. It's like The Alchemist. There's a good book by Paulo Coelho, a Brazilian writer. And it was about a young boy who was going on a journey and in search of something greater. And, you know, he found that everything he needed was right where he was essentially, but not to ruin the book or anything, not to spoil the ending. But essentially, if you're looking for those traditional values, maybe your tradition belongs somewhere else. And I do believe that there are some quote unquote people that they might label passport bros, but I don't believe the ones that are traditional values, I would label them that way because they just want to seek something. They want to find their place and find where they fit in and maximize their life in that area. And I'm all for that. But on the other hand, these other guys that travel to countries and say, hey, man, I can't afford a $600 prostitute, so I'm going to go to, I don't want a $600 worker of the night, so I'm going to go to Colombia because the workers of the night are $150 to $200 and I could buy 3 of them in the span of a 3-day weekend and have a great time. Those guys are ruining everything and those guys are disgusting to me. I'm not saying like, hey, do what you do. I'm saying do what you do. And I'm not saying anything because it's an industry and power to them, you know, and again, I can't even knock it because, you know, if you're in a tough environment and you're doing what you have to do to make income, by all means do it, you know. But the thing is with these guys is don't say you're doing what you're doing and portray that as the game and you looking for traditional values and everything. Man, you're buying a service. Yeah. You're buying a service. You're a patron. You're buying a product. That's perfectly fine if that's what you want to do for you. But do not say that this is what everybody should do and that this is all that women offer and that there's nothing more than this. And this is the whole scope of a relationship. Yeah. And that's the difference I would say between the traditional guys and most of these passport bros that are ruining everything and running away from life because they're losers in their country. They can't get the girls that look like some of the ones in the third world. And I even hate to say that, just in less developed economies, they want to go to the less developed economy to maximize the use of their currency to get women that they would never get in their hometown because they're an idiot.
That's true. And they go on Instagram and they flex about it too, which is crazy,
man. It's like, it's not impressive to me and I don't really respect it. And that's just my take. And, you know, you can like it or not.
No, I agree with you. I think it's pathetic that what these guys are doing, how they think that this is how the game should be played. They think that, oh yeah, you got to go to Colombia, you got to go to Asia, you got to go to Thailand and buy women essentially just to feel something in life, just to have the kind of relationships you want. So speaking on that, like, do you think that these passport bros are ruining foreign dating markets?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So I'll say yes in this regard. Yes, they're ruining dating markets, foreign dating markets, because they say, oh man, like there is that guy who's in the Western economy that says all women are pay for play, all women want resources. So, but my resources can't get me a woman in my country. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a lower country or quote unquote lower, less developed economy. I'm rich here. So now I'm going to maximize what I'm doing. And maybe I'm paying a little bit more than even what the service typically offers in that economy. And I'm just driving the price up because I'm just a whole influx of people that are coming here to pay.
Yeah.
So if a whole influx of people are coming here, like maybe like the services that they're in the black market that they're indulging in are maybe equivalent to $50 to $75 US. And they say, that's nothing. I'm going to spend $200 US because I can do it. Now they're creating a whole economy and they're creating a whole system where it's like, hey, people who come from these countries, hey, they're paying $200 US. Let's hop on the bandwagon. Let's all do this. Yeah. So in that regard, they are ruining it because these people are in a less developed economy. Maybe like they're in a tough situation or saying, hey, like I have this feature that men seem to like. I'm going to offer this as a service and just get my money, which is why I respect them in a sense, because it's like, hey, these are people that are just doing what they have to do to survive in some aspects. So it's like, hey, if they don't have the opportunity to do what they have to do and they can get $200 US, which is going to help them out, why wouldn't they do it? But I would also say no, because a lot of these guys do drug. They engage in activities that are kind of aligned with debauchery and degeneracy. So I would say they're not ruining it because typically they stay within those hubs. So if you're in like a club environment, you're in an environment where they're engaging in a lot of drug activity, a lot of alcohol fueled environments, that's going to attract that type of scene. So it's all about selection. Like if you were going to look for your wife, I hope you wouldn't try to find her at the strip club. I hope you wouldn't go to the red light district and say, I'm looking for a chaste woman who goes to who goes to church. I mean, is there a possibility that you could find a needle in a haystack? Sure. But, probably going to be searching for a very long time. Yeah. I just think, coming back to maybe dating and everything and what we do with our services is just optimizing. So like selection is the most important process. So what we would be doing is essentially tailoring the environments that you like to go to, figuring out what values that you have, and then from that point forward, optimizing your schedule and optimizing your profile so that way you could attract that woman and select the proper choice. And it comes down to personal accountability, right? So it's like, make the choice and do it. So in that regard, yes, passport bros, they do ruin foreign markets, but they don't, because if you stay out of those areas and kind of go off the beaten path a little bit, and actually, if you're looking for a traditional value woman, you'll find it. Just go to that area.
So I kind of agree, I do agree with you with what you're saying. The one thing I do want to kind of add and maybe emphasize for the people watching and stuff,
sure.
I think this is a really important thing that it needs to be said more. And it's like, yes, if you go outside of these red light district areas, if you go off the beaten path, you're going to find normal girls 100%. But I think the problem that a lot of the passport bros do when they go overseas to places like Medellin is they offer these girls these services, even though they might not be in that headspace to charge for these services, but because they might be getting offered so many times over and over, hey, how much? Hey, how much? Hey, how much? Maybe they have a bad month. Maybe they can't pay their rent. Maybe they see their homegirl who has a new phone. Maybe their phone just broke. And now they're like, man, I could really use a new phone. Man, I could use a nice meal. I could use these things. And they might dabble in these services, which happens a lot in Medellin. A lot of these girls are like undercover workers of the night or prostitutes, whatever you want to call them, right? And so I think what happens is, this is what I've noticed living here for almost 5 years. What happens is like the guys, they'll offer that kind of money. Let's say one of the girls accepts it, they have that experience, and maybe she does it a few more times because the money's nice and she has a nice lifestyle. Now what she gets to do is she gets to go back home to her little neighborhood and show her normal friends and family members, girl, look what I got. I got a new iPhone. I got a new dress. I got a new bag. I went to this spot. I went to this spot. We went on vacation to Santa Marta. We went to the coast, right? We went to Panama. And now, maybe not every girl is going to be envious of it, but there might be 1 in 5 that says, man, I kind of want that too.
Sure.
Maybe I should start, dabbling in this lifestyle too.
Sure.
And so I think what happens is because it's so, I think the word is maybe saturated is a good word for this, but because it's just being rubbed in their faces over and over and over again, I think some women who don't have maybe the best morals or the best values, they get tempted on this lifestyle and they start to go down that path. And then it starts to kind of domino effect to other girls outside of these areas. And that's what we're kind of seeing in Medellin is a lot of the girls, even on Bumble or outside of Tinder, because Tinder is garbage right now, but things like Bumble or maybe like even in person, when you go meet a girl, just a normal girl, she might hit you with some kind of bullshit services and you're like, the fuck is this? Mutual benefits, pay for play. Like, I thought you were a normal fucking girl just at the mall shopping. And now she's like trying to maybe kind of like finesse you with these services. And so I think you are correct where, some normal guys who do travel and they do the passport bro thing, I think they do have good intentions and they have traditional values and stuff. But I think a big majority of them do it because they're not getting what they want in the West and they have to go overseas where their dollar stretches further and they can, essentially dabble in these services, if you want to call that,
sure.
to get the validation that they want or to satisfy their sexual desires, right?
Sure.
And it's just sad all around, man, because if we didn't have these guys out here, I think the world would be a much better place. But that's, hopeful thinking and that's not reality. But it's an interesting topic. And I think these things do need to be said. So that way we bring awareness to this. And that way people can kind of navigate the world and not think that Colombia is perfect or that Asia is perfect because they're going to find that everywhere they go.
Sure.
And Passport Bros, it's kind of what I said earlier. It's like, it's going to kind of like elevate that in certain areas because that's what they're coming here with the wallet. They're leading with that. Hey, how much? Eventually some girls will be like $200, $300.
Sure.
But anyways, let's kind of move on to the next thing because we have a couple more questions for you that I want to ask you, man. What's the biggest misconception men have that women want today?
That they all want money. It really just comes down to that. It almost sounds like I'm beating a dead horse sometimes, but it's just like, there are some things that are priceless.
Yeah.
And, it is true that women are looking for security and that's what they value. That's why they kind of want you to have a job when they're asking you sometimes, do you have a job? What do you do for work? Like what are you looking for? They want to know that you're not going to like just use them for sex and dip. A lot of those good women. So I think the biggest misconception that men have is that all they want is security in a sense and that they aren't looking for love and companionship and someone that they care about. It is true that a woman's number one priority is security, but it's like it's security, but also among other things because it's beyond just financial security. If you have a good social network, so like, let's say you go broke, man. If you have a good social network, hey, we're going to stay at so-and-so's house. Imagine if you had no friends, you couldn't have a friend's house that you could stay at. Like, hey, we have no money right now. I'm working on getting another job, but my friend has a mansion over here. We're going to stay in one of his rooms. We're going to just sit here. I'm going to run up my money and figure it out. That's a value. That's security.
Yeah.
If you're a man that takes care of himself and you're doing your thing and you're boxed or, you do some type of fight training or something like that, that's security too. Because a woman knows like, hey, if she's getting harassed, like, oh, I don't want my man to, kick this guy's ass, but I'm happy that he can and he makes me feel safe. So I think the biggest misconception is that the only thing women value is how much money that you make.
Yeah.
And it's so far from the truth. There's so much aspects of security that you can offer as a man. Women do value that over love for sure, because they want to feel as though they're protected and safe and they're in an environment where they can be in their femininity and express that. So yeah, it would be women are not just about money. They're about other things. And it's really a combination of different aspects of security that make a woman feel loved and allow her to express it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think guys really should focus on all the things that you mentioned, right? What's step one for a guy getting 0 matches if he wants to rebuild his dating life?
Don't act like you know everything. Because if you're getting 0 matches, that means that your output is terrible. Everything you know is useless and you need to throw everything out.
Yeah.
You need to do something new. You cannot hold on to your old life and expect to go into a new life. So the number one thing that a guy needs to do in order to start getting some motion is to realize that he knows nothing. You are not good. You need to just kill your ego and you need to take a new step in a different direction in order for you to get a different outcome. If you are somebody that is going to get coaching, if you're somebody that wants a new change in his life and you refuse to learn, you will never get good. You will never have a new life. You will always be stuck in inadequacy because you're holding on to attitudes and behaviors that served your old life of being a loser and are not going to enhance your new life of being a winner. So you have to make your choice. It's either, hey, I don't like being a loser and I don't want to identify with this, so I'm going to completely shift my identity. Or you're going to be like, hey, you know what? Man, all girls are the same, man. I asked a girl how much and she got offended. She didn't tell me the price. She's not serious. This is what women want. I can't believe I did what women want. And then I asked how much and she just didn't give me a price. She didn't give me a list of services. This is ridiculous. Or I walk outside 300 pounds and, I'm just sitting there saying, I'm going up to a gym girl and saying, hey, let's go to Golden Corral. I got a coupon for Golden Corral. All you can eat. It's what are you doing? It's not serving you. And the first example might make a little bit more sense to people, but I say the Golden Corral example and the fat guy example because it's essentially you cannot have a fat personality and expect to attract a fit chick. because you would already have fit chicks if you were a fat dude at that point.
Facts.
So wouldn't you have to align yourself with a new identity, even if you were still fat and 300 pounds? If you told that girl, said, hey, I'm locking in on the gym. You look so good. Let's hit the gym together. She'd be like, damn, a fat guy is asking me to go to the gym. She'd be like, yo, this dude is serious. This dude is so confident because he's clearly fat and out of shape. And he invited me, a hot gym girl, to go to the gym. You know, a girl who's actually traditional would really respect that. She'd be like, man, this is a guy that's working on himself and he's confident because he knows he doesn't have a good physique, but he has the mentality where I think he's going to get a good physique because guess what? He's taking the actions in the present. He's already aligned with his new identity of being a fit man. And that's what it comes down to. You cannot hold on to a loser mentality. And I'll leave it with this on this question. You know, ancient Egyptians have a saying where your heart has to be as light as a feather to reach the afterlife. You cannot reach the next level of your life holding on to everything. That means friends, that means identities, that means maybe job, that means maybe certain emotions. If you want to get to this new level, it requires a transition, and that means letting go. Yeah. And you can't take everything with you. So many people want to take everything they have now to the next point in their life. And it's like, no, everything can't go and everybody can't go. You have to be willing to make your trades. What are you saying no to say yes to your new life? What are you saying no to in your past to say yes to your future?
100%.
And it starts with the present.
Yeah. No, I agree so much, man. I think guys, they will hold on to their old identity so much because that's what they know. That's what they're comfortable with. But when you want to ascend to the next level, you got to kill the old version of yourself and become something new. And it's scary. So as far as like the guys who do want to transform and let go of their old versions of themselves, what's one thing a guy can start doing this week to completely transform his dating life?
Write down your habits every day for a week. Find some way to track what you're doing. Because here's the thing, you can look at a video, you could even get coaching, you could do whatever, and you could say, hey, I'm making the choice today. But it's really in the reflection that you're going to learn a lot about yourself. Because imagine if you say, hey, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and you wake up at 7. Imagine you were just journaling, I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m., you wake up at 8. I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m., you wake up at 9. I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m., I wake up at 10. As you look in your journal, right? Or whatever you're doing to keep track of your habits. Maybe you took a video, maybe you took a picture of when you woke up, maybe you screenshotted your clock, whatever you decide to do to track. Like everything you measure grows. You would look at your log of activities and you'd be like, I say I want to wake up at this time. You know, this whole week I've been writing the same goal that I'm going to wake up at this time and I never did it. And it's really going to have you be real with yourself. It's going to be like, do I really want to wake up at 6 a.m.? Or is this just something I kind of want to do? Because if you kind of want to do it, it will never happen.
Yeah.
So
it just sounds good on paper.
It sounds good on paper. It sounds good like, hey, man, I'm watching my carbs, but I ate 300 carbs. I don't care, but it's not even a diet thing. Like you could eat carbs if you want to. I'm not saying that's even a bad thing, but it's just like, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Do not break commitments to yourself. And that's the most important thing. For if you want to change your life this week, set goals for yourself that week. Do not break any commitments. If you say, hey, I'm going to talk to one girl this week, do it. Do it.
That's an achievable goal, yeah.
Do it. Because if you do not do it, you need to rely on yourself. It's like Conor McGregor had such a great stream of consciousness thought that always plays in my head. He was basically talking to, I don't know who he was talking to. Maybe he's like in the gym. He's talking to a trainer. He said, man, I said I wasn't going to eat it. I ate it. I said I wasn't going to drink it, but I drank it. I said I was going to go train at this time. I didn't. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it's just like, man, you break all these commitments to yourself. I tell myself I'm going to do all these different things, and it's like death by 1,000 cuts. Yeah. And it's like I'm not able to trust myself because I'm telling myself all these different things, but then I don't do any of them. And I think the biggest thing to make that change, if a guy wanted to make a change this week, you'd be 300 pounds. You could be 300 pounds, broke, have no girls, have no prospects. But if you make a commitment and stick to it, and you make that consistency, I promise you, you would make some big changes in your life. That would be the biggest thing, consistency.
I agree with that a lot. I think guys need to have some kind of game plan. But first, it comes down to seeing where you're at, tracking your life, seeing, hey, what am I actually doing right now? Am I actually aligned with the goals that I want to get to? Am I actually the person that I say I want to become? Because it starts with your identity first, and then it becomes the mindset, and then it becomes the habits. And so, yeah, it's like, but your habits do also transform the person you are. So I think it's super important to get like a baseline, understand where you're at. Because if you understand where you're at, then you can understand where you want to go.
Sure.
And especially if you're not happy with where you're at.
Absolutely.
So I think that's great, man. It's just like, if a guy has the goal to talk to one girl a week, fucking do it, man. Make that commitment to yourself, honor your word, build that internal trust with yourself too.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you can feel aligned with what you're trying to accomplish, because if not, you're going to be lost forever, man. You're never going to trust yourself. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to write down goals and you're never going to accomplish them.
Sure.
And you're just going to get validation from writing about your goals and talking about them online or to your friends, but you're not going to see real fulfillment from actually achieving them.
Amen. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So those were all the questions I had for you today, man. Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of go over or talk about? Or
hey, man, AI dating guy on platforms. Check it out. Hopefully you find some value in the content. Appreciate Sam Speaks for hosting me in Medellin, and that's all.
Cool, man. Well, if you guys want to learn more from us, or you guys want to grow together, we have a weekly call in the Winner Circle that we host every single Thursday, where again, we're helping the guys with their mindset, with their health, their wealth, their relationships. And again, it's a great place for guys to connect and grow and go to the mountaintop together. So if that sounds like you, if you want to maximize your life, come check out the link in my bio and you can join right away and get the sauce and come connect with us and come see us on the calls and be a fucking G and grow together. So thanks again for AI Dating Guy for joining me on this podcast. This has been a lot of fun, a lot of value, and a lot of sauce. I hope the guys can get a lot from this podcast and these videos. And till the next time, guys. So peace.